February the 2nd. Wow, can you believe we're already into February? And today is also a special day called the Groundhog Day. And Mr. Groundhog is going to come see you a little bit later, and he'll tell you why today is special. But first, we're going to have our story. It is so good to have you back again. We always miss you and love you, and so we're glad that you tune in. And out there, some little friends I'm going to say hi to this morning. And if you do watch our little show here at Grace Preschool, me and Miss Lisa and Miss Beth Ann's always behind the camera. If you do, would you kind of let us know sometime so we know what little friends out there to say hi to? Because we don't want to miss you. And if you tune in, we certainly do want to say hi and say your name. Okay? Let's get with our story. Today it is a special story called The Mountain That Loved a Bird. And the author was Alice McLaren, and the one who did the pictures was a favorite of mine named Eric Carle. Great person that did books. It starts out with, there was a mountain, and the mountain, it was just bare stone. No trees, no plants, no greenery, no nothing. Just a bare stone mountain. And it was the most loneliest mountain in the whole world. Nobody never came there. Nobody never made a nest there. Nobody, no insects, no nothing lived on that stone mountain. But then one day, the mountain, he'd always look at the sky, watching the clouds, and he'd watch the sun, and he'd watch the moon at night, and then he'd watch the stars. And he was always wishing something would come visit. Finally, one day came a little bird. He was flying over the mountain on a sunny day. And all of a sudden, the little bird thought, you know, I'm kind of tired. I think I'll go sit on that stone mountain down there. And he did. And when he went and sat on the mountain said, I've never seen anything like you before. And the little bird said, my name is Joy, and I come from faraway land where everything is green. And every spring I fly high into the air, looking for the best place to build my nest and raise my little children. So, as soon as I have rested, I must continue my search where to build my nest. And the mountain said, you know what? Couldn't you stay here with me for a while? And the little bird said, I'm sorry, but birds are living things. We have to have food and water, and nothing grows here for me to eat, and there's no streams from where I could drink. And the mountain said, if you cannot stay here, will you come back again someday and see me? Because the mountain was so lonely. And the little bird promised. He said, every spring I will try to come back. And if I don't come back, one of my children will come back, and I'll let them know. So it went on, and year after year, when spring came, a little small bird flew to the mountain singing, I am Joy, and I have come to greet you. And for a few hours, the bird would fly above the mountain or nestle against its side, singing. And at the end of each visit, the mountain would always say, Isn't there some way you could stay? And Joy would always answer, no, but I will return next year. So, year after year, the little bird, or one of the children of the bird, would always come and see the mountain. But after a while, when they left, the mountain just couldn't stand it. The mountain's heart was breaking because now the mountain knew what it was like to have a friend. And when that friend would leave and it wouldn't see it for a whole year, the mountain couldn't stand it any longer. And the mountain started to cry tears. Tears from its heart because its heart missed its little friend so much. And those tears came down the mountainside. And the tears kept increasing and increasing. And the next spring, there was a stream, a little stream down the mountain. And when the bird came, it said, I am Joy, and I have come to greet you. But this time the mountain did not reply. It only kept crying tears and more tears. And then the little bird flew above the mountain and sang as she always had. And when it was time to go, the little bird said softly, I will return next year. And she flew away. And the mountain just kept crying. When the next spring came, Joy returned, carrying in her beak a little small seed. She tucked the seed into the crack in the mountain and close to the stream so that it would get moist. And then she flew above the mountain and sang to it like she always did. Seeing that the mountain was still unable to speak, she flew away once more. During the weeks that followed, the seed in the crack of the rock in the mountain began to send down tiny roots. The roots reached into the hard stone little by little, spreading into smaller cracks, breaking through the hardness. And as the roots found water in the cracks and drew food from the softening stone, a shoot rose from the seed into the sunlight and unfolded tiny leaves. Did not notice a plant so small, and the mountain just kept on crying its tears. The next spring, Joy brought another seed, and the spring after that, another. She kept placing them in the stone near the stream of tears and saying to the mountain, but the mountain still only cried because the little bird still had to leave. But years passed away, and the roots of new plants in the stone near the stream of tears, they kept growing and growing until there was tree from the original seed. There was green growing all over the mountain. And it kept growing and growing and growing. And each year, Joy would return, bringing another seed. And each year, more streams ran, lapping down the mountainside. And the ground watered by the new streams grew greener and greener with trees and plants. Now the mountain no longer cried. It began to ask once more, isn't there some way, my little friend Joy, you could stay? But Joy still answered, no, but I will return next year. More years passed. The streams carried life far throughout the plain surrounding the mountain, all the land. And beyond that, little small animals began to come to the mountain. And suddenly the mountain felt a heart full of hope. Opening its deepest heart to the roots of the trees, it offered them all its strength. The trees stretched their branches yet higher toward the sky, and hope ran like a song from the heart of the mountain into every leaf. And sure enough, when the next spring came, joy flew to the mountain, carrying not a seed, but a slender little stick called a twig, and took it to the tallest tree on the mountain she flew. And that was the tree that had grown from Joy's very first seed. She placed the twig on the branch in which she would build her nest. And she sang, "I'm Joy, and I have come to stay." And she did. She built her bird nest right in the top of the tree from the seed that she first planted in the very lonely mountain. And after that, more little birds came, and all her children, and they stayed in the land of the stone mountain. Isn't that a great story? Miss Faye, when I read the story, I loved it. And I thought, you know what? That's kind of like people. A lot of people out there, especially now, are very lonely. And they would just love something to cheer them up, to make their heart feel better. So I was thinking, all of my little friends out there, if you know someone in your family, or a neighbor, or a friend, or anyone, if you could maybe draw a picture or do something, a card that you make, and send it to them, because I bet you it would make their heart feel happy and glad, just like the mountain when it wasn't lonely anymore. So that's our story this morning, but stay tuned. We have another show. It is a mix today of a little puppet and flannel board, and the story is called The Mitten. Stay tuned.